Hello everyone, I'm Miranda and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today my mum Donna has joined me.
Hello.
And we're coming to you over a sea of crockery this afternoon because I've had so many requests to share my china collection with you all, particularly my tea sets and things like that I tend to use a lot in my videos and also in my photography. And I love talking about pottery. It's definitely a passion of both of ours.
Definitely a shared passion.
Yes, and a passion I inherited from you. So this is why I've asked my mum to join me today, because it's a topic we both love.
We do.
Just like we both love books.
Yeah.
We also both love china and collecting. So to start, I thought we could each share our story about how we came to collecting different types of china sets and why they're so important to us.
Absolutely.
Do you want to go first?
Yeah. Well, my dad was a potter. He worked for Paul Pottery, and he was a mould maker for them. So pottery was always something that was around our house, that was talked about. My mum loved beautiful vases. She always had tea sets and things like that. She wasn't obsessed about stuff like I am. She wasn't a completist. Fortunately, I don't think I am on china. I
know
a few
Good
things.
job too, considering our space restrictions.
Yes, we have a warehouse at our disposal, just a few cupboards.
Yeah.
But I just have such a passion for collecting. I love it. I have definite tastes in what I really, really like, of course. I'm not, unfortunately, somebody who knows a lot of what years and all that sort of thing. I just know what I'm looking for. When I see it, I know if I like it.
Yes, we really go by what we personally love and our personal taste, not necessarily what's really valuable.
No, not at all.
We're not collectors in that sense.
No. We
really only collect things that bring us joy and make us happy, and that we also like to use every day.
Exactly.
We don't put things just in a cabinet and
not at all. And
them.
you know, it has meant that we've broken things, of course, over the years, and that's a bit sad. But on the other hand, I'm happy to use everything.
Yes.
So that means a lot.
So you spoke about Paul Pottery, which is an old pottery based in Dorset. You were born and grew up the first 15 years of your life.
Exactly. Unfortunately, it's not there anymore.
That's very sad.
Yeah.
And we particularly love these old floral patterns.
Yes, those are
that were done by Paul Pottery. They're really beautiful. The colours are so lovely. The designs are just stunning. Yeah. I adore photographing with flowers, so it's very important to me to use a lot of really beautiful vases too in so much of my photography. And I like to have a range of different styles of vases, and they're just all exquisite in the Paul Pottery range. I'll be filming cutaways of this, so you'll be able to see everything.
Yeah. But
Paul Pottery is such a favourite of mine as well, and really because of the family connection too. They're very, very special, and we especially have vases, I think, and some sort of plates and platters.
Yes,
in that
we
range.
do. That was our favourite.
Yes, that's mainly what we collected. And so, my own story of collecting china also begins when I was little. I don't quite remember how it started.
I don't either, but only that you were always interested, perhaps because it was around all the time.
Yes, I suppose so, because you so clearly loved it. But I remember when we lived on Long Island, there was a big, what would you call it? Not a factory, but yes, an outlet centre.
Yes.
And there were lots of china places, like Royal Dalton had an outlet.
Yes.
Waterford Wedgwood did. And it would be a treat to go along sometimes, and for a birthday, Christmas present, that kind of thing, I'd pick out some china pieces, and it was really from having access to these outlets where all of the china was discounted.
It was really, in those days, you could pick up really lovely things for sort of $10.
Yes, I mean they were such bargains.
Yes.
And so it was something that also it was affordable for me when I had some birthday money and things like that. I could supplement my collection. So when I was really little, I collected 3 main sets of china. The first one is this lovely Villeroy and Boch china set, and I think I was definitely influenced by you because my mum had a whole set of Villeroy and Boch.
Which fortunately I've kept
Yes, and it's a whole dinner set, and I mean it's my childhood really, that dinner set. We used it every meal. It was the old naive.
Yes, it was. I mean, it was not your taste perhaps now.
It isn't, no. It's not one I would collect now, but I can see why you love it. But when I was little, I guess I wanted to be like my mum, and I wanted my own little Villeroy and Boch set. And Villeroy and Boch had an outlet, of course, too, at this centre on Long Island. And you can see my passion for blue and white china started at about the age of, I don't know, 11.
Maybe? Oh, yeah, 11 there.
I think I would have been about 11.
You would have been,
when I started collecting these. This is their old Luxembourg style, and it's their most classic style. It's the oldest style, I think, that Villeroy and Boch do. And I think it's beautiful. I still love it. I still adore blue and white china, as you know. And I don't actually, sadly, have very many pieces of this. I just collected a little bit growing up. And it's something I'd like to get a bit more of. But fortunately, because I love blue and white, I tend to mix and match a lot of blue and white china. So it goes...
It's a classic, isn't it?
It goes with what I have. So it's really classic. And then one thing I also collected growing up is the Brambly Hedge china. And I absolutely adored the Brambly Hedge. This was done by, it was Royal Dalton, wasn't it? Yes. It was done by Royal Dalton. It was based on the books by Jill Barklam that I loved as a child. You read them to me. I read them
many
as well.
times.
All about these little countryside mice, and they always have fabulous food and picnics, and I think obviously just the sort of lifestyle I wanted myself. And her illustrations just captured like the English countryside so well, and I adored the books when I was little. I adored the china. Again, we were so lucky we had this outlet centre on Long Island, and so many of my birthdays and Christmases, I gradually built up quite a big collection. I had the whole tea set. Sadly, a few years ago, when we moved from Kingston back into more central London to West Hampstead, I donated or sold pretty much all of my Brambly Hedge set.
We had to make choices.
We did, because we moved back into a really tiny flat and I just didn't have room, and sadly I had to let go of a lot of my pieces from that. I still have a few, but very little, which I do regret in some ways, but
I know she does.
I know it was a really tough decision, but we just didn't have room for it.
Well, you're always very strong about things like that. You're
I
practical.
do. I think, all of my adult life, I've moved around London. It's amazing. I've hung on to as much as I have, and never really having a family base in the UK has meant that I've never had, a sort of
place you could leave stuff.
Yes, exactly. So these things happen, but I'm still grateful for the few little pieces that I have left. And to be fair, I think my tastes have moved on a bit now too. From when I was 10. And although I still love these and they're very sweet, they're not what I want to use every day.
No. And we use them almost every day, didn't we?
We did. I mean, it's not like I didn't have wear out of them when I was young. We used them all the time. We create like seasonal displays with them. It was lovely. But then the other china set that I absolutely loved, that I started collecting when I was young, was the Wild Strawberry. and this was by Wedgwood. And it's just such a delicate, beautiful print. I still love it. I don't have that many pieces. I have a few more little dressing table and vases, that kind of piece. I'd like to get some teacups in it, actually.
Do you remember when I thought I was buying you a teacup and saucer, and I thought, oh, it's so expensive, but it's both pieces. I think it was somewhere like eBay or something. I found one. And of course it ended up being just the saucer.
Yeah, that was a bit of a disappointment. Yeah, this has been discontinued, sadly. So the pieces are becoming a lot more expensive, which is a pity.
Yeah.
But I'm very glad for what I have. So those are the things I collected when I was little, and I still have quite a few of the pieces. I still love them. But over time, my taste also developed. I would say the wild strawberries probably best matches my taste, although to be fair, the Villeroy book does too.
Yeah.
But what I really love for blue and white china the most now, that you can still buy too, which is always good news. Yes,
yeah.
Is Burley. I absolutely adore Burley china. I really want to go to their factory sometime.
Yes.
And I love so many of their patterns. They're so pretty. My favourite is the Asiatic pheasant pattern, and I love it in the pale blue and white. This is just such a favourite of mine. This is what we use now for our dinner service mainly. This is my kind of everyday china that I use all the time. I also have teacups in it, a whole sort of tea set. And although you can still buy this china, I also love to collect it, and I get some of the vintage plates, because they're a little bit different. They're very pretty. They've got more of a sort of frill around the edge, and I think the actual colourway is slightly different. It's a bit more faded, a bit more sort of country chic looking, which I like. So I do really like to pick up some of the vintage pieces when I see them, especially to display on the china cabinet that you see behind us. I tend to especially like to display some of these old plates because they look especially attractive.
I'm always nervous about eating off of old china.
We don't tend to eat off these.
No.
And also they're really quite old. They're not in such good shape. So I use the modern ones to actually eat from. But in photography and for display, I love the vintage ones.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
And we also have mugs in this set as well. But there are a few other Burley pieces that I love. I mean, I also love the Asiatic pheasants in pale pink and white.
Yes.
So pretty.
It is, isn't it? You were a bit torn, weren't you?
I was torn between mainly collecting the blue or mainly collecting the pink. And I decided to go for blue and white because it's so classic. But I think eventually I will collect a tea set in the pink as well.
That will be
because it looks so pretty. But it also does look very nice as a tea set to mix and match the pale blue and the pale pink.
It does.
I think that they look very pretty together too, which is really nice. And then I also like this Burley print a lot, which is, I think it's called Calico.
Yeah, it is, I think.
And it's very, very pretty. And I like these. I have mugs.
Look the shape of those mugs.
Yeah, the shape of these mugs are really lovely. And for our Burley pieces, in all honesty, we mainly buy seconds, which you can buy on their website, and they're discounted stock. There's usually some small flaw in them, but I can normally never really tell. I mean, this one, for instance, has a bit of a blue smudge in the mug, but that doesn't bother me.
No.
And it just means that it's more affordable for us anyway,
exactly.
to pick up. So I'm always looking out for bargains in that way, outlet centres, buying the seconds, things like that. It just means that It's a bit more affordable to grow a china collection.
I'm very fond of this pattern. I don't know what it's called. But
this
isn't it
one
pretty?
is Regal Peacock.
Okay, well I
think
like
it's
Regal
really fun.
Peacock too.
Yes. Mum's a big fan of the Regal Peacock, and it is very pretty. I like it too. Again, a lovely classic blue and white, which is so nice. But a lot of you will also have seen my Italian spode china. So that's all, well, it's a mix of the burley, Asiatic pheasant, and then my blue Italian spode. We'll get a teacup here so you can have a look. So this is the other very classic blue and white set that I love to use. I use this as a tea set. I also have some small plates in it. The burley is what I use for my dinner service, but I do like the Italian spode for tea.
It's lovely.
A lot. It's very pretty, very classic, and I love having it on the dresser as part of my blue and white china collection that gets displayed on there. And then finally with the burley, I also have this. It's a bit different. It's the black and white style. This was done, yes, I have a teapot in it. And this is calico as well, which I had the blue and white in. But this was done for Soho House, Soho House. And I like it because it's a little bit more modern. It's a bit of a modern twist on a classic print, which I really like. And especially in the winter months, I like to use this tea set. It looks really nice in the winter somehow.
It does. It's sort of, as you said, there's a modern twist to it, but it's still quite classic looking.
It is. So I really love this.
We used to go to Liberty's always and choose one every now and again.
We would, because Liberty, I don't know if they still do, but they used to stock burley for Soho House, and that's where I got these from, and I love those. But then we also, whenever we travel,
very much,
we love to look for special pieces of pottery.
Yes.
Whether that's going into charity shops or antique shops and picking up bits and pieces second hand. And I'm always looking for pretty teacups.
Yes.
So we're always
well trained too.
Look out
we're
for
always
that.
looking for
Yes, and I found a very pretty teacup, for instance, when I was in New York a couple of summers ago, and I carried it back very safely in my hand luggage.
Got you well trained.
Yes. So that I found in a vintage shop, for instance. And I love to buy things when we travel in that way, because it means that whenever you use that piece of china, you remember the special memories and the places associated with that. And you've bought china in that way too, haven't you?
This is from when we went to
Rye.
This is Rye pottery.
Yes.
And again, this was the second. I think it's a slightly different colour of green.
Yes.
I absolutely love it. It's a lovely shape.
I love that too.
Use it both as a vase and as a jug.
That's what's something special about the UK, is that some towns and things have their own little pottery. Like there is a Rye pottery in Rye, so it was really special to get that.
So not only with Rye, when we've gone on exhibitions, when we've gone to museums, or we've gone to special artist gallery things, we've often found something there that we've loved. I know when we went to Wakefield in Yorkshire.
We went to the Yorkshire Sculpture Park, and I went to a workshop that Emily Sutton taught, which was really special. And they had an exhibition of some of her artwork at the time. She's a favourite Yorkshire artist of mine. And they had also, as part of what you could buy in the gift shop, some of her cutlery with some of her illustrations, and 2 plates in the country and in the town we bought, as well as we bought a couple of mugs by her, and we still have them. Again, they bring back so many happy memories. One of our trips to Yorkshire.
Actually, I remember that.
I remember that
a long
too.
time looking at the china.
Yes, but Special memories.
They were.
Still.
And St. Ives as well. We went to the Bernard Leach.
Yes, exactly.
Pottery.
And I got a few things from there. Some of the more modern pottery things.
Yeah.
Like I got a couple of vases. I loved this pale pink one, and the one that has our sweet peas in behind us.
Yes.
That was also from the Bernard Leach. And then we also got a classic piece as well from there. And that was such a special day. And yes, whenever I use those pieces, I remember St. Ives and what a wonderful holiday we had in Cornwall. And whenever I would go and visit you while you were living in Dorset.
We used to always go to Branksome Pottery, which at that point was still open.
Yes.
What was the name of that lady who had the famous clothes shop? Margaret something. There was a shop
Margaret
in Richmond.
Powell or Margaret Howell? I can't remember.
Maybe it was Powell.
Margaret. Oh, I can't remember.
No, I can't remember either. Howell, maybe you're right.
Yeah.
But I remember she had some black and white Branksome. Which I've never collected that. But
no.
We really love Branksome pottery.
We do, and it's another favourite of mine. Poole pottery and Branksome pottery are the two Dorset ones that we both adore, and we have some very, very pretty sets. They're special because they have this classic two-toned china.
Twin tone, I think.
Twin tone, yes. And I, of course, especially love the pale pink and grey. To me, that's just beautiful. But I also have some of the beige and green colourways. I have the sort of elephant grey and primrose yellow, which is also so pretty. Yeah. And it's got a slightly Art Deco look to the style, which I love. It's very classic, very sort of clean cut. But as my father said, you could also imagine Hercule Poirot serving tea in these cups.
That's so true,
Yes, it's got that 1930s look to it a little bit.
It does.
And I absolutely just adore the colours. They're so beautiful. So those I would get almost every time I came down to
you
Dorset.
Choose something new.
Yeah, and that was such a fun way of slowly building that tea set. It was really very special.
And then when they were going out of business, I guess, they sold a lot of old pieces too. And that was when you chose that teapot. Which
yes, that's right. People always ask me about this fabulous teapot, and it is Branksome china. And yes, I was so glad that I could pick it up before, very sadly, they closed. I mean, it's such a shame that all of these old potteries have been closing down. It really is such a loss. But this teapot is very, very special to me.
Yes.
I absolutely adore
it. It's a good pourer too.
It is very important because, yes, like we said, we do use all of the things that we buy really too. So that is important. And then we always look for sort of special items as well that are around our interests. So for instance, we love Emma Bridgewater.
Oh, we do.
You've seen us use many Emma Bridgewater mugs in our videos. But when Emma Bridgewater did a collaboration with Persephone Books, which is a wonderful independent publishing company that I used to work for, we of course had to buy the bowl and the jug.
Yeah.
And following the story of Persephone, they're decorated with pomegranates.
Yes.
And I love this jug. We have the bowl as well, which I also really like. And it's just very special. It's got Persephone Books written in the inside along the rim. And I love having this set because not only does it remind me of a pottery company that I love, but also of a publishing company whose books I've collected for years.
Yeah.
So that's very special when there are collaborations like that and you can buy one-off special pieces. And we've also bought some Charleston inspired pieces, and Charleston and Bloomsbury group generally inspired. Do you want to explain about the David Herbert things that we have?
We have some teacups and plates that he did.
Yeah, so David Herbert is a big collector of Bloomsbury pieces, Bloomsbury artwork and ceramics, furniture. He's got an incredible collection that I've seen. Did you come with me?
Yes.
Yes, so we both had tea with him and saw some of his collection. It was so special. And he used to write a lot about food and he's written some great cookbooks.
Yes.
But his other passion is the Bloomsbury Group and also ceramics, and he taught himself how to make ceramics. It was amazing.
It was.
And he made some very beautiful pieces that were all Bloomsbury inspired. So we have some of his painted tiles and teacups, which are really, really lovely. And I also bought from David Herbert this vase, which is an old Laura Ashley vase. It's actually from 1986, the year I was born. And it's an old Charleston-inspired print as well.
Yes, so it's Duncan Grant who was involved with that.
It was Quentin Bell. It was Quentin Bell who was involved with these designs for Laura Ashley. And when I saw that David Herbert was selling it, I really wanted to add it to my collection of vases. I'll link to David Herbert's online shop in the description box because quite regularly he sells some of his own collection to supplement buying more. And it's always worth checking out what he has. Yeah. But then also sort of related to Charleston are these beautiful plates. I don't really know what you'd call them exactly.
No, I mean
small sort of dishes and platters that were done by a French artist. And what's really funny is I bought this piece in Charleston not that long ago, but years and years ago I'd visited a wonderful ceramic shop in Paris called
the Tuileries.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
I'll link to that too because you can still go. If you're in Paris, you must visit. It's amazing, fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. And they had pieces by this artist, and I bought one then at the time too. And unfortunately, I can't remember her name. It's driving me mad, and it's not marked, which is such a shame. Because
maybe somebody will recognise.
Yes, if you do, then let me know. Yeah. Because I adore her style. She always draws sort of women, and I think they're just very well done. And they are a bit in that Charleston Bloomsbury Group vein, which I think is why Charleston stocked her for some time, although they don't seem to stock her anymore, which is a pity. But also something a bit sort of special that we've been collecting lately is some of the Sussex lustreware. Yeah. And these are beautiful pieces. We love the old-fashioned lustreware, but we don't have any very old pieces. No. They're very collectible.
Yeah.
Yes. But the next best thing is to support Sussex lustreware, and they're sort of recreating some of those traditional pieces, which I think is so fabulous.
Oh, it's lovely.
And it's just absolutely beautiful. I love this jug. This often sits on our kitchen mantelpiece. And they also do some really wonderful mugs with fun little expressions on them. Yes. This one says for loving a book, but there's also ones for a knitter or a sewer or a nature lover or you know, all sorts of things.
So clever of them to be doing this.
Very clever, and you can often commission your own piece too with your own sort of colourway and what you want said on it and what sort of picture on the back and things like that. So it's really nice to be able to do that, and I think that they're a great business.
They really are, and really quite modern, aren't they, in terms of this? I didn't know about them anyway.
No, I don't think they've been going all that long.
No, and
or
this
maybe
is where
I just
one
don't
of the
know.
huge advantages of Instagram is that's where I think we first
yes,
saw
I
them.
think so. Yes, exactly. which was really brilliant to discover. And then a few other things that we really love to collect and that we look out for secondhand are Moorcroft pieces, which are beautiful. Are they Scottish Moorcroft? Yes. And they're such beautiful pieces. I mean, they are expensive. I think this is the only one we have, is it?
Yes.
Yes. But it's something I'd like to collect more because it's just stunning.
They are beautiful.
Always on the lookout for those from secondhand. And then I love the Wedgwood or the Wedgwood inspired blue and white pieces like this.
Yes.
We've got a couple of candlesticks.
Yes.
And I always just love the style.
You liked cameos in them when you were a girl, I remember.
Yes, they made some jewellery Wedgwood at the time and had cameos, you know, in this style. And I still have some really pretty.
Yeah.
And I just love the sort of elegance of them. I think that they're so attractive. And then I'm always looking out for pretty little vintage teacups, like I said.
You love a bit of gold, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I hadn't noticed that, but now you said it, I realise I do.
Yeah.
I think it just elevates it.
It does.
It makes it look especially
so
elegant. Yes. Yeah. And I do like very pretty floral. I often still go for blues and pinks and some yellows. And I love to use these in my photography.
I really admire the way that you really change it up in your book photography, because you always love to have teacups, because we actually always have a cup of tea when we're reading, nearly always.
Yes, exactly. I think it's funny. I do genuinely drink tea. So that's why I have teacups all the time and not coffee. So it is genuine that there are teacups there in my photography, and it's just something that I love to collect. And
is it because you don't want to get boring with them?
Yes, exactly. I think it's nice to have a bit of variety in what I use in photos.
I can understand that.
So I'm always on the lookout for inexpensive vintage ones that are pretty, and I pick them up in charity shops or antique shops. But there are some modern brands that do beautiful teacups that I've bought a couple from. So I love Wedgwood, and they do some really, really beautiful teacups.
Isn't that lovely?
Yes, and there are special memories actually around these, because we would go and buy these at the Peter Jones department shop in Chelsea.
Yes,
generally, right on Sloane Square. Generally around the time of the Chelsea Flower Show, we would always be in the area because of that. And we'd pop by Peter Jones, and I would buy a teacup from, they stock Wedgwood china there. And I love these teacups that Wedgwood do, and I've picked up a couple, and it just brings back happy memories, and it feels very appropriate to buy lovely floral teacups.
Exactly, that's a lovely memory.
Yes. And then of more modern pieces, you can tell I'm not that modern in my style at all, but I do have a couple favourite ceramicists who are modern, who I buy from now. One is Emma Lacey, and I absolutely adore her mugs and the beautiful range of colours that she does, and the little thumb imprint design to her mugs. I love the quirkiness of that, and I love the colours. She just has such a good way with colour somehow. So we've collected many different colours.
We have, and they're very comfortable mugs to actually hold and use.
They are, and when you want a nice big cup of tea, like first thing in the morning, then that's a mug I'll reach for. And somehow they're just really wonderfully tactile. With that way you can grip with your thumb if you want to, and they're just really fun. I love her things. And then another potter that I love, who is still going.
Yeah.
So I discovered through a friend of mine who lives in Hammersmith, and she actually sells some of his pottery. I'll put a link to her shop in the description box too. Now I always forget his name actually, but it's something like James Burton Stewart or Stewart Burton.
I thought it was Barnett. James Barnett Stewart.
Barnett Stewart. Something like that. I'll put it in the description box because I always forget quite how his name is.
Yeah.
But I love some of his pieces. I love these plates, probably because they are blue and white again. And I love the sort of rustic look to them. Yeah. They remind me a bit of France somehow when I look at these.
With that.
Yes, they've got that French country rather than English country.
Yes, I agree.
Look to them, don't they? But I love that style. I mean, having partly grown up in France.
Yeah, well, you can just picture them with salami and cornichon French bread.
Yes, you can, can't you? Sort of laid out on a table in Provence sort of thing.
Yeah.
Oh, makes me wish I was there. But yes, so I love his work, and he has done some beautiful vases and jugs as well that I've collected. And I love his style because to me it blends modernity with a very traditional look. I love just the shapes.
So often we're attracted to shapes. I realise that.
We are. That's very true. Yeah. The shape of something, as well as the colour or pattern, is often very important. I love his shapes that he creates. We've got a beautiful sort of fruit bowl and things like that.
So beautifully around.
Yes. So we've got a few pieces from him that sort of suit. They suit both English or French country. They're very sort of countryside style, I think. Yeah. And I absolutely adore them. But yes, I think that pretty much covers it. So. I hope you found this helpful, and I hope we've inspired you maybe to think about starting your own china collection. Think about what interests you, what your taste is. It can be so much fun, even if you just restrict yourself to looking around in charity shops.
Yes.
It can really bring a lot of joy.
It can.
And it's something that we love.
What you might find.
No, exactly. That's part of the thrill. But thank you so much for watching. Do give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And we'll see you again very soon. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.